What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a quick review of the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger from the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Now, I've already said in previous videos I am absolutely loving the Lightning Collection, and I'm very excited that they finally came out with the Red Ranger. We're currently in wave number 3. We will go ahead and take a look at the packaging, and then we will take a look at the Ranger I already have out. I have it out for a reason, for a few things I want to show you guys about these Lightning figures, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging. I'm a big fan of the packaging. It's not too flashy, but it's colorful and designed enough that it looks well, but they didn't try to fit too much into it. We have a picture of the Red Ranger right here to the right. The background is simply some lightning bolts and some basic coloring. You've got some red, white, and silver back there. Over here to the other side, we have another picture of the Red Ranger. On the back, we have a picture of the Red Ranger in his battle form. We have the weapon lightning accessory that comes with it to make it look like the power coming from the weapons. They also come with the blaster. The other side is another view of the Red Ranger's helmet. So let's go ahead and open this up, see everything that comes inside of it, and we will just check it out and see what it's all about. Very excited that the Red Ranger was finally released. It's been out for a little while now. We will set the box up here in the back. We'll get this little display out. Might as well use it for our background. Put everything to use. Alright, so let's check out what comes inside of here. As you can see, just with like with all the figures that they're releasing so far, we get an extra set of hands over here. We get the power sword. We get the Red Ranger himself. We get the power blaster. We get a sculpt of Jason's head. And then we get the lightning effect that will go on our power weapon. So let's go ahead and pop this out of the packaging. Now you want to try to be careful with these lightning figures. Don't be too rough with them. They were not designed to be a child's plaything. If you want to keep them in good condition, that's some of the things we'll talk about in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and get everything out of here very carefully. So don't just rip stuff out of these packages. You could end up damaging them. Alright, and finally we will pop the Red Ranger out of here. Trying to be fairly gentle with it. And there he is. Alright, so we have our Red Ranger figure. Now, right out of the box, the joints on some of these Lightning Collection figures can be a little stiff, so don't be too rough with them. Be careful when you pose them and get them in different poses. Eventually, it will become just a little bit easier. Alright, as you could tell, his joints were a little stiff, and I'm trying to be very careful with it. This is just one of the things I want to give you guys a heads up about these Lightning Collection figures real quick. They can be a little rough when you first take them out of the package as far as moving the joints around and stuff, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You want some nice stiff joints so they're not all falling down. Now, since we're already on the subject of being gentle with these and things that can be wrong with them, I'm going to show you what I wanted to show you guys over here on this other figure. Now, I bought this figure used. It was lightly used. When I got it, I posed it, I checked it out, I did a few things, but I've noticed a few things that the seller claimed was already on it when it came in the package, and I agree with it because I've already seen it several times. There are imperfections in a lot of these figures. Some of it has to do with the paint. Now you can tell right here on the front of this Jason there is a smear here with the white paint. There are chips of white missing and some black little marks over here on the front. We'll get real close up so you can see it. Not only that, this is the biggest thing I want to show you guys. So you will notice right here in Jason's hand that there is a lot of black looking paint inside of there. So the reason for that is his sword has been put in his hand and taken out several times for different poses and just doing different things with the figure. And you can see that the paint is chipping off of the sword. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. Be very careful getting these in and out of the hands of these Rangers. Stuff with paint on it will definitely start to chip off. Now, that's definitely one of the negatives to these figures, the durability of them. However, like I said, these were designed to be an adult kind of collector's toy. Now, that's no excuse for the paint chipping off. But that's just one of the things that it's going to happen when you have this constant rubbing together of paint. You're going to get chips and scrapes and all this good stuff. So with the paint aside and the stiffness of the joints sometimes, now this figure's been posed and used a little bit, and the joints are slightly more loose than the one I just pulled out of the package, which is what you guys need to expect. Now we'll go ahead and talk about some of the accessories. Over here we have a power blaster that comes with the other Jason figure. It goes down in the holster very nice and snug. The holster and belts are made out of a more rubber. They're not really a hard plastic, so they bend a little bit. We have the ability to contort Jason right here at the waist in two different areas. So we have the first pivot point down here at the bottom, and then we have another pivot point right up underneath in the middle of the chest here. We have the arms that actually go in and out as well as up and down. Then we have another joint right here just above the bicep. Then we have the elbow, and then we have the wrists. So you can adjust these figures very, very well to get them in just about any kind of battle pose you would want to. When it comes to the legs, obviously they move back and forth and outwards, but they also have another joint that's just above the thigh here, and then the kneecaps, and then the boots right here actually go back and forth. And then we have more pivot points down here in the ankles. Now this will go up and down more. I'm just not being too rough with it. So this is pretty much what every basic Ranger so far has as far as the ability to adjust it. Set our other one back here. So let's go ahead and talk about the head sculpt of Jason Lee Scott here. Now, when it comes to head sculpts, I try not to be too critical. I know they're not going to get them perfect dead on, and to be quite honest, I think they did a pretty good job on this. Now, a lot of these you might look at and you might disagree. You might think that it doesn't really look much like the original Rangers, but I think this looks a lot like Jason Scott. Even over here, now they didn't color it, which I thought was weird. They even have a molding around of his earring that he had in his ear, which I thought was pretty cool that they even went that far. I don't know if you guys are really going to be able to see it that well. Hopefully I can. So it's right here. It's not an abnormally large earlobe. That's actually the ring of his earring. So pretty cool. I do love these Mighty Morphin figures that they're coming out with here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the helmet. Now here's another thing. On the helmets, I've noticed a lot of paint defects. There is a smear right there in the black of the visor. But other than that, the helmet really isn't that bad. So here is a look at him with his head sculpt instead of his helmet. And we'll set him aside. And then, of course, we have him in his Ranger form. Now, let's talk about we're going to talk about these right here. If you're confused about how to put them on, you can always kind of reference the picture on the box of how they're actually applying the lightning effect accessory to the actual figure. So you can see that they just kind of slide it all the way up through there with, you know, one little thing going on each side. So just hold it up just like the box shows it, and then you can kind of slide the sword through where they show it. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. Put the sword in there so you guys can see what it looks like. So they kind of start at the bottom, and they work their way up through all of these little lightning bolts. And we're going to do ours just like so. So, if you can tell from right here, I kind of did mine exactly like they did in the picture. It might be slightly different, but it looks good enough. We'll go ahead and put it in his hand so you can actually see when they're displayed, you know, kind of what they look like. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that the paint's already been damaged on. And we're going to get it in there. Now, one set of hands that they come with are kind of meant for the weapons. The other is kind of a battle pose with clenched fists. I'll go ahead and show those to you real quick. So here are the other fists. You can see they're clenched. There's not really any room to get anything in there because they're completely closed. And we'll go ahead and try to put Jason as carefully as can be in the kind of pose that he is in. Now, I've already said it multiple times. Try not to be too rough when you're trying to put these into these battle poses. At least at first, give the joints a chance to move and kind of loosen up. Let's go ahead and take his blaster out. It'd look kind of silly if he had two of them. Now with the blaster, you really don't have to worry too much about it because the blaster does not have additional paint on the handle of the blaster. It is the mold itself. So you don't really have to worry about that too much. It's only the things that have been painted. I think this is pretty close. Alright, so we kind of have him in the battle pose, or at least close to the battle pose that he has in the photograph. We'll set him right here in front. I think I got the arm just a little wrong, but we'll see if we can fix that. There we go, that's a little bit better. And we'll fix the legs here. I'm only taking the time to really do this to kind of show you guys just the mobility of these figures. So there we go. You can get them in a lot of good battle poses for display and pictures and whatever you guys really want to do with them. The sky is kind of the limit when it comes to these Lightning Collection figures because, to be quite honest, yeah, we talked about the negatives. The paint is definitely an issue on these guys. And the joints are definitely very stiff. Be careful, but once you pose them a couple times, they do get a little bit easier. And they go into some great poses. So here is the red Mighty Morphin Ranger, Jason Lee Scott. And I highly suggest you pick these up if you're a Power Ranger fan or a collector. They are very, very cool. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to be reviewing Goldar, which is actually an exclusive. They don't sell it everywhere. GameStop is where you can pick it up, but you can find it online. eBay, Amazon, places like that. So stay tuned. We'll be doing Goldar next. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you next video.